You can change houses and still never feel at home. That is the strange truth I've discovered. You can repaint the walls, rearrange the furniture, even move across oceans, and still carry with you the same ache of not belonging. The address changes, but the emptiness follows. You sit in new rooms with fresh paint and polished floors, but the silence feels familiar. It isn't the walls that carry the weight. It's the absence of being known inside them. I've lived in many places, some small and temporary, some meant to last. And in each, I've had moments of standing in a room, looking around and realizing I didn't feel at home. Not because the place was wrong, but because something inside me was absent. A roof can shelter you, but only presence makes it home. Stephen, he once told me, "I'm respected in my own house. They nod when I speak. They thank me for what I provide. But some nights I sit in my own living room and feel like I could vanish, and no one would notice." Angela offered the other echo. "I've moved so many times. New cities, new apartments, new houses. I kept hoping the next one would feel like home, but it never does." Their words mirror my own realization. Home is not in the walls. Home is in the presence that fills them. The longing for home is not about geography. It's about recognition. I remember when I first moved to Melbourne. The city felt vast, its streets humming with trams and the constant rhythm of footsteps. My first night was quiet in the wrong way. The house was small, the walls bare, the air unfamiliar. I unpacked slowly, setting cups and plates in cupboards that didn't yet belong to me, laying sheets on a bed that smelled faintly of strangers before me. I lay awake that night listening to the strange silence. The hum of trams in the distance, the rustle of leaves outside, the echo of emptiness in the room. I thought home would arrive when the house was full, but days passed, then weeks, and the ache remained. It wasn't until I began sharing meals, laughing with new friends, walking streets that slowly became familiar, that I realized home was never in the walls. It was in the presence of being recognized within them. That was the contradiction I learned. We spend years rearranging places, hoping they will bring us home, when in truth, home begins in presence. Stephen once confided, "I've sacrificed everything to keep this house steady, but sometimes I feel like the walls know me better than the people inside them." Angela admitted, "I thought moving would cure it, but every time I unpack in a new place I feel the same, restless, empty, searching." Their stories, like mine, reveal the same ache. A house can protect you, but only presence can hold you. Home isn't where you live, it's where you are known. Home is not where you are, it's where you are known. Those words have returned to me across every season of my life. I've mistaken home for safety before. Strong walls, good locks, a roof that kept out the rain. But safety without recognition is only shelter. Shelter keeps you alive. Home lets you live. You can survive in a shelter. You can only belong in a home. I once wrote in my journal, "Walls protect, but presence makes them home." It became my reminder that home is never built only by bricks, but by the depth of connection within them. I often think of how many people sit in houses that are large, furnished, admired, and yet feel empty, because no one sees them within those walls. A house can be full of furniture and still hollow of belonging. Stephen asked me once, "Have you ever sat in your own living room and felt absent?" His words carried the loneliness of a man who had provided shelter, but hadn't found recognition within it. Angela's version was different, but just as heavy. I keep moving, thinking the next city, the next apartment, the next start will fix it. But home never arrives. Their honesty brought me back to my own longing, the realization that home doesn't begin when circumstances change. It begins when presence replaces performance. I've scribbled another line I carry with me. Performance can decorate a house, but only presence makes it home. Performance can impress visitors, keep up appearances, and fill the air with noise. But performance cannot recognize you. It cannot love you. Presence can. A simple gaze, a word spoken with sincerity, a silence shared without fear. These are the moments that turn rooms into places of belonging. The paradox is this: home isn't discovered in geography, but in recognition. It is not about where you stand, but about whether you are seen standing there. And that means home is not waiting beyond the next horizon. It begins in the present moment, when someone notices, when you allow yourself to be known, when presence replaces performance. So I ask myself often, what would it mean to feel at home right now, before anything changes? And each time I ask, the answer reminds me that home is never far. It is already here, waiting in the depth of presence. Migratory birds remind me what home truly is. I've watched them lift in unison, wings beating against the sky, moving as though pulled by an invisible thread. They travel vast distances across oceans and mountains, never staying too long in any single place. They land for rest, for food, for shelter, but none of those stops are home. Home is where they return, again and again, no matter how far they've gone. The first time I noticed this, I was standing on a quiet stretch of coast at dusk. The sky glowed orange and violet as flocks of birds traced patterns above the water. Their calls filled the air, sharp and insistent, guiding one another. They didn't carry maps, they didn't need walls. They carried home inside them, in memory, in instinct, in presence with one another. It struck me then, I had been chasing home as a destination, as a fixed place that could finally grant belonging. But maybe home isn't where you stop. Maybe it's where you return. And maybe it isn't defined by walls at all, but by recognition, by being seen, by being known, by being remembered. Stephen once said, "Sometimes I feel like I've built a house that protects everyone else, but when I walk inside, I still feel like a guest." Angela admitted, "I've moved so often I thought I'd lost the right to feel at home, but maybe I've been looking in the wrong direction." Their words brought me back to those birds, always moving, always returning, always carrying the memory of belonging within. I left the shore that evening with the sound of their calls echoing above me. And I thought, perhaps home isn't where you are. Perhaps home is what you carry back to yourself. A roof can shelter you, but only presence makes it home. Stephen's voice carries this contradiction. I've given everything for this house, worked the hours, paid the bills, filled the rooms. But sometimes I feel like the walls see me more than the people inside them. Angela offered her mirror. I've moved from place to place, trying to find a room that feels like mine. But each time I arrive and realize I've carried the same emptiness with me. Their stories echo what I've lived by myself. Houses shift, but home is presence. The detour is not to wait for life to rearrange itself, not to chase a new address or a perfect circumstance. The detour is to allow recognition to replace performance right where you are. to risk being known, to open yourself enough that presence is possible even before anything outside changes. I once wrote in my journal, "Home begins when presence replaces performance." Each time I return to those words, I feel the walls around me soften, because presence is not built from bricks, it is built from truth. So I ask myself often, what would it mean to stop performing long enough to be seen? What would it feel like to let home begin, not when I move, not when circumstances align, but here, in this room, in this moment, with the people already around me? Nothing outside needs to change for home to begin. The truth rests with me tonight as I sit in the stillness of my own room. The walls are plain, the furniture ordinary, the night quiet except for the hum of the city outside. For years I thought I'd only feel at home once the place was different, once I moved, once I changed, once everything outside shifted. But tonight I know better. Home is not waiting in the distance. It is here, hidden in presence, waiting for me to notice. I think of arriving in Melbourne, the first night heavy with silence, the ache of emptiness filling those bare walls. I think of the flocks of birds returning to their place, carrying home, not in geography, but in recognition. I think of Stephen, respected but unseen in his own living room, and Angela, moving restlessly from house to house, searching for a belonging she carried all along. Their stories, and mine, whisper the same reminder: home is not a house, home is presence. For years I thought home was somewhere else, a future place, a different house, a new horizon that would finally make me feel settled. But I've learned that home is not a destination waiting beyond the bend. Home is carried, not found. It lives in the presence we bring to where we already are. The ache for belonging still returns. There are mornings when the rooms feel hollow, afternoons when the walls seem bare, nights when I wonder if I will ever feel at rest where I stand. That ache tells me I am human, still longing for rootedness. But it also whispers another truth. Home does not begin when the ache disappears. It begins when I let myself be present enough to be seen. I remember the times I moved restlessly, changing jobs, houses, even cities, only to discover the same emptiness followed me. The walls were different, but my heart carried the same absence. It wasn't the space that needed changing, it was my sight. When I finally paused, when I let myself notice the details I had ignored, the morning light falling across a wooden table, the rhythm of familiar footsteps, the laughter that slipped in unexpectedly, I realized home had always been within reach. It was not about arrival. It was about attention. The road stretches forward, unseen but steady. I do not need to wait for the next horizon to feel at home. I only need to arrive fully in the step beneath me. So I breathe into the quiet and whisper, maybe home isn't waiting somewhere beyond the bend. Maybe home is already here in the ground that carries me now.